Yeah, I can hear you, Stu.
Okay, we're all done. 7 o'clock. Okay, I've got 7 o'clock. I want to welcome everybody to the September.
Stu, I think you need to wait for Stefan.
Stefan said he's ready in his end.
You guys are good to go.
It's not 7 yet, though.
It's 7. I got 7 on my computer, so I thought it was 7.
We have you guys live now.
We are live?
Yes.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Conservation Commission meeting of September 13. And at this time, the Peabody Conservation Commission hearings will continue to be held remotely. Remote participation is allowed in accordance with Section 20 of Chapter 22 of Acts 2021, signed into law by Governor Maura Healey. What do we do here? In the event that we are unable to meet or we get power failure or something, we'll post on the city website. Well, if we can't continue the meeting through because of storms or something, we will adjourn the meeting and reschedule it. The minutes will be posted on a website, as will the recording for tonight. Will be on PAT's website. And without further ado, where am I going here? Here. First thing up is extensions. We have a request for an extension permit on DEP file number 55808. Request is being made by attorney Philip Durkin on behalf of K Realty Trust, Alfred DiMambro trustee. The project is the construction of a commercial building addition, adding 3 stories to an existing building footprint. The property is known as 10 Mill Street, map 85, lot 60B and 58, Peabody, Mass. And this order expires November 13, 2023. So the applicant is looking for an extension.
Is the applicant here?
I don't know.
I am promoting, I believe, attorney Phil Durkin.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know. It's a little different on this Zoom thing than it is on others, and I'm not before the Conservation Board that often. I appreciate you placing me at the top of the agenda, which is always a nice thing. As I stated in my extension request, Mr. DiMambro has experienced several health issues over the last couple of years that required hospitalization, etc., which I certainly won't go into detail. Unfortunately, the architect, Dennis Gray, whom we rely on finalizing our plans before we go before the planning board, who was developing those plans, has passed away in the past year. So those are a combination of factors. Additionally, we held off before going further with the project because we were approached by several interested parties on that site to perhaps invest in that site and or purchase it from Mr. DeMambro. Unfortunately, those matters fell through, resulting in us not having been able to pursue the plans as envisioned in the last couple of years. And that's the basis for our request.
Is the plan still to make it a 3-story building?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to cite DEP comments at this time. Based on proximity to the erosion control, limited work to the adjacent bank associated with the intermittent stream, it's Mass DEP's opinion that there may be an immediate or inadvertent alteration to the wetland resource.
Stu, that's, I think that's 29 Glendale. This is an extension for 10 Mill Street that's in FEMA floodplain, no water bodies near it.
All right, you're right. I'm sorry. You're saying they should cite the issuing authority may deny requests for extension where no work has begun on a project except for such failure. I'm not going to go do all this. Attorney Durkin has asked for a 3-year extension, and the property is the same property. Nothing has changed that I know of. And I'm going to suggest that we issue a 1-year extension.
Motion to make a 1-year extension.
I'm sorry?
Second.
Okay. Lucia, roll call.
I only heard Amanda make the motion. I didn't
I
hear a
second it.
second. All right.
Second,
Sorry, I have storms happening right now, so I will do a roll call. So that motion was made by Amanda, seconded by Vivaldi. Roll call. Chairman Lazaris,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Green.
Yes,
All right, so you guys extended it 1 year. That motion passes 6-0.
Yes.
Get moving.
And notice
Thank you
it-
very much. We plan to
Yep.
this year.
We'll stay in touch. Notice of
I
intent.
will. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you. Notice of intent, continued public hearing and a notice of intent by Attorney John Kelty for Josephine Cook, owner, proposed work is construction of a single-family house with associated utilities, grading, and driveway. Property is known as 29 Glendale, map 120, lot 27, a portion of it, in Peabody, Mass. We have not seen revised plans yet. It was requested last meeting, and based on the proximity to the bank, DEP's opinion, and I think ours also, is we'd like to see the property, the building moved to a smaller footprint. Is Jack here?
No, he sent a letter and
Oh, he said he wanted to
typically-
continue it.
Yep, he already sent a letter for this and the next one as well. So no one should be in the
Okay.
audience. No one's coming. So if the applicant's not here, we can't take testimony.
Okay, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. We want to continue it. So you
Yes.
have a motion to continue.
I'll make a
Motion.
motion to continue the project at the notice of intent at 29 Glendale until October, the next meeting in October, right? Or 2 months?
Yeah.
One month until October 2023.
Okay. Second,
I second it.
roll call.
Yep, the roll call. So that motion was made to continue to October meeting, made by Mr. Vivaldi, seconded by Amanda. Roll call. Chairman Lazaris,
Yes.
the Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Comack.
Yes.
All right, so that passes 6-0. And if anyone is in the audience, that will be at our one meeting we're having in October. It is October 11th.
Next item 3, continue public hearing on a notice of intent submitted by LEC Environmental Consultants, Inc., Andrea Kendall, for DeOliver Estates LLC, Daniela DeOliver, owner. Proposed work is construction of a 360 square foot single-story addition to the existing commercial building within a riverfront of Strongwater Brook. Property is known as 168 Main Street, map 86, lot 159, Peabody, Mass. We're still waiting for revised plans, and I'm just looking for a
Motion to
continuance.
continue. Motion to continue. Item number 3.
Seconded.
Roll call.
Yeah, that motion was made to continue 168 Main Street NOI by Mr. Rizzo, seconded by Ms. Green. Roll call. Chairman Lazaris,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Green.
Yes.
All right, that item is continued 6-0 as well.
Item 4. I can't scroll down. Continue public hearing and notice of intent submitted by Native TEC, Robert Marini, for Carolyn Cristomo, property owner. The proposed work is the construction of a 3-car garage, earthwork, and extension of bituminous concrete driveway within a buffer zone. Property is known as 163 Lowell Street, map 74, lot 14, Peabody, Mass. We did a site visit, and photos have been, well, Lucia took photos of it. Let me see who's.
Mr. Marini is in the audience, and for whatever reason, he is denying my request for him to become a panelist. So I am going to unmute him, but that means I'm going to have to share the screen for him. Now he's gone. I don't know where he went. Hold on. I'm trying. Okay, he's coming as a panelist now. He should be on momentarily. I think it takes a couple seconds.
I see him on.
Rob Marini at Native Tech. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Hi. Welcome aboard.
I with you folks on the site visit Monday, and I could run through the NOI again. What I did do is make what I was working on today is if I can share the screen. I was working on drainage for the paved area and the garage. Let's see if I can.
Rob, you should have you should be able to share your screen. If you have a problem, let me know.
How's that? Can you see that?
I can see a picture. No.
Can you see it?
No.
Nope. There's a print behind your head on a wall, but that's it.
Okay. Let me see. Share screen. I got to hit it again, maybe. Okay.
There you go.
Let's try it. Let's try it now.
Wow.
Okay. So Here we go.
We're looking at your desktop. Okay.
Here
There
we
you
go.
go.
See it? Can you see the plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, on the left, existing conditions. Now there's this existing two-family house. There's existing pavement. Drive around, and there's a patio. It's like a concrete patio. Now it's in there is riverfront that extends to this line here, and there's from Proctor Brook, and this BVW 100-foot buffer zone extends. The 100-foot buffer zone extends up to here. This is the BVW line. Okay, so when we walked the site, one of the concerns is maybe incorporating, doing something with the drainage. Typically, what they do is hold the 1-inch runoff, the amount of water in a 1-inch storm. And so I could have just held the increase. That's really all that's required. I figured there's alterations to the house, so I left that alone because that could change a little bit. It's outside jurisdiction, but I did capture the 1-inch runoff incident on the driveway and the garage itself with a stone strip around the periphery, a 3-foot stone strip, a foot in depth around the periphery. I'm tracing over where it is. Around if you go down the driveway, it goes around the bend to the left, around the back of the garage, along the parking area, the drive-through area, and back up to where the pavement meets the driveway surface, basically to the throat of the turn to the garage, all being held by I have a little calculation down below here, and the amount of storage provided is greater than the amount of runoff of this entire driveway and garage for the 1-inch storm. And so
Could you enlarge that picture that you're sharing
yes,
so we can just focus on the right side there? Thanks.
how's that?
Much better.
So that's basically it. That's basically all the the changes that I focused on since we met. Any questions?
I have a couple questions, Bob. On the proposed plan, you're showing, because they don't show on the existing plan, looks like a lot of trees and plantings. Is that part of this project?
No, these are meant to be existing trees that are there.
Okay. But yeah, it says existing old tree. Okay. They weren't on your site plan, but that was mostly the
conditions plan. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. That was my question. Yeah, the area that the work that you're describing, for all intent and purposes, is contained within a pretty kind of a flat area, and beyond the green area is where the grade begins to change dramatically, and then it drops off considerably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the area around the driveway is within the limits of your colored area, I believe, is, if it's not grass, it's just some dirt.
The grass, this pattern here is intended to be maintained lawn.
Yeah. So the project is limited to the driveway, the drainage, and the building.
Right.
And the grade of the existing ground is not changing. Is that correct?
It's not appreciably changing, no.
With the exception of a couple inches, just a few inches, just to grade it. And
yeah, just to drain the water. In other words, the back of the garage to the front will be a slight pitch, like 2% pitch to get so that the water doesn't get trapped in the garage. But then when it's
Okay.
out,
So
it-
any water,
the roof could enter these stone fringes on the pavement.
yeah,
Now, basically 33% of the stone volume is void space. So that's what I'm working with. Rather than show infiltrators that there's a lot of impact to get down 3 feet, and then you're storing down there, and then you may need something else on the surface. This is just neatly gives an edge to the paved area without really a lot of disruption.
okay. And so we had talked about, I know you mentioned about the stone, but we had mentioned, you talked about picking that water up and putting it into a subsurface storm system, whether it be
Yeah, we could have done that, but this is for this situation. You want the water to eventually reach the brook area, but you want to mitigate the flow, the rate of flow, and I think the stone's better if it fills up and it bleeds out over the slope slowly.
right.
I think that's
But we
better.
also, but we in addition to that, you don't want any of that flow of water to go on the abutting properties on the right or left.
Right. Well, that's why I have it. That's why I have it on the right side of the driveway. So we're basically capturing the roof too. There's only, you can see from the architecture of the garage, there's only about an 8-inch overhang in the eaves.
Are you gonna have roof conduit on the front and back side of the?
No, there's no gutters, but basically it flows down and and then hits these gravel fringes.
Okay. So I guess my only question about that is in nice weather, then that would probably work really well. I'm just thinking about in the wintertime when there's snow on the ground, the ground's frozen, and you have some kind of storm event, that water it may not get into that stone, those bleeder stone trenches, and could run across. And my concern about whether it's running across to the neighbors on either side. The neighbor on the left, it wouldn't really get to their property because there's actually a wall behind there that would direct the water towards the back. But the one on the right, is there a curb or something along that fence line on the right-hand property?
Over here?
Yeah.
Not that I can recall.
So that would be my only, I think you're doing all the right things. But I don't know what would happen in the, in spring thaw when the ground's kind of frozen and you get maybe a heavy rain, if that water's gonna go right across into the other property.
Well, what that leads to is having a catch basins. Then you'd have to deform the surface of the grade so it's not the existing grade anymore, so you can capture it in a catch basin, then send it to infiltrators, and then you're recharging the ground lower than it needs to be recharged, because really you want to recharge in the upper.
No, I don't agree. I don't disagree, but I don't see your grades. I'd like to see that the grades are, even though you're only talking about a few inches because you're just not really changing the grade of the site, but you are doing some grading for lawn area and paving to show that the water, the contours are going in a direction to push it right to the middle of their property and not to the outside. You know what I'm saying?
I could add some spot grades on it if you'd like.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? How big is the gravel and how deep will it be?
Foot deep,
A foot deep?
wide. Yeah, 3 feet wide. I
And
mean, I don't know. Lately, the frost depth hasn't been more than a foot. So
what size gravel are you planning on using?
3/8 inch stone. That's basically what they use to surround the Cultec chambers. But typically what we figure is it's holding 33%. The void space 33% of the volume. But so if you have a chamber and you have an envelope around it, the chamber's holding water and the volume of the stone around it is holding 33% of that volume. And you add it all together at the end. But I just figure stone would work here. Fine. I could add some grades.
Yeah, because as you're saying, when the snow's on the ground and those voids are filled in with stone and then the ground freezes, it's not going to do the job if it rains in the middle of the winter. Um, Anytime in the spring and summer and fall, it's going to do exactly what you said. But I would question if it's going to be okay in the like a spring thaw in middle of January.
Spring thaw wouldn't be bad, but if it's totally frozen and you get a rain, and it's iced over, that might be the same thing for a catch basin. I mean, that might, the frame could be iced over. It's always best to handle drainage on the surface and not do subsurface drainage. Because then you can't get at it. You don't know if it's clogged.
Yeah, so I think the grading is what's going to be important. I think you need to provide some grading that identifies and shows that the water's being directed not to either side of the butters, but directed within the driveway and adjacent to the driveway on the left side and running down to get down to that grass area in the lower area.
So direct the grades away from the garage, away from the neighbors' properties, and then direct it down. It's downward anyway, and it's going to these green.
It very well might be that the current grades are doing that now. So the existing grades, as they stand now, mostly it creates that flow.
Yeah.
So, but me, I'd like to see some proposed grades that identify. So when you're doing the driveway, and when the guys are doing the driveway and they're setting that pavement, I wouldn't want it pitched to the neighbor on the right hand side. I want to make sure that it's pitched towards the back, and it can be level at the garage. It can be leveled, but you need it to like come towards out into the driveway, out to in front of the garage, and then move down. So you got to just do a little grading plan that shows that when the guy does the paving, he's going to pave it that way, so it's not all being pushed over.
Yeah, I could add some grades to this. In fact, this line here I'm pointing to, that's kind of like where it meets the existing pavement.
Yeah.
And then from there down.
Yeah.
Establish grades here and base it all around out, down, and then to here. And then it'll spread out and fill the voids as it needs.
I know there's some, I think if I recall at the site visit, I think along that property line on the right, there's some raised beds, gardens with vegetables and so forth.
Yes.
And I think so you got those raised beds that have railroad ties or whatever it might be. That's going to help in keeping it off the property, the other person's property, and help to direct it towards the back.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that I noticed when I was there on the site visit was if you look at the property from Wall Street, the property on the right is a good foot down or more from this property, and there's an in-ground pool on the property next door. But and then if you go to the left, it's raised, it's higher than, and there's a black wall surrounding the neighbor's property.
Yeah.
The point is that it's like a terraced or stepped affair because the natural slope of the ground is down towards the center of town. Efforts have been made over the years to direct the water away from neighbors and towards the brook. And I think that that's great. As far as there are planting boxes along the neighbor on the right, and that should help to collect water. And I don't think that there's going to be an issue with drainage from this property to abutters.
No,
It didn't
it
look like
shouldn't.
there was.
Shouldn't, as long as when they do the paving,
Yeah,
that
as long as you don't direct the water towards the brook.
that the water goes towards the brook, and the pavement line on the right-hand side those grades are lower than the grades at the property line. And there's those planting boxes. If those remain there, then you have some elevation there against those boxes where you could bring some loam up and grade it up towards those boxes. So any grass between the right-hand side of the driveway and the property line, the grass is going to be going up. So it would always flow back into the driveway, then down the back.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. So I'd like to see spot grades or contours that will show that. So the guy who's doing that knows how to build that driveway properly. And then I think everything would be fine. Also, there was on the back left side, towards the back, there was a lot of debris back there. There was some materials that it's a Bobcat and an RV and some other stuff that we talked with the property owner, and the intent is that stuff's all going to be removed, if I recall.
Yes, correct. So we were planning on moving the Bobcat towards where the black pickup truck was, if that's all right with you, or we could always move it to the garage, my fiance's work garage.
Yeah, I'll move it to the garage.
Yeah,
Okay.
the issue there is any kind of drainage of fuel or oil would impact the ground.
Okay, not a problem.
We want to prevent that.
Okay, that could be definitely done.
And as we talked
Okay.
about, since you're in some buffer zone there, we talked about you can mow the grass. You can spread some grass seed there on the bare spots, as long as you don't fill.
Yes.
And so when I see a Bobcat on somebody's property, I get nervous. So
No.
So that if you need to do something back there, you need to come back to us for a permit.
Correct. Yes, that is correct.
So they can plow. They can't use the Bobcat to plow snow.
I didn't say that. It's just I guess it was,
they can't store it on land that's pitched towards the back.
yeah, they would
Is
keep
what
it
I'm
in the
concerned
garage.
Yeah.
Or they can keep it in the garage, and in the wintertime they can bring it there for snow removal, and then keep it in the garage. Or they can find another location for it.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, are you planning, and I don't know if we even have a, let me back up. At our last meeting, I think we decided or acknowledged that our concerns have to do with the portion of the garage that houses the car on top, the top of the three, and behind and towards the wetland. That's it. The rest of the garage is out of our jurisdiction, as is the house. Correct?
Right. Here's the extent of jurisdiction here.
Yeah. So it goes through the garage, but it doesn't incorporate the entire garage. My only other question was, and I don't even know if it's necessary with a single family home, do you have are you going to be plowing a driveway towards the back of the property in case of snow?
Yeah, I would think you would.
So there's no harm, no foul with that.
I don't think so. I
Okay,
mean, you're in the buffer zone, but the wetland is, you
it'll
know,
filter.
it should filter in. You
Yes.
know, yeah.
Okay. Do we need the plan with the contours before we vote?
If you'd like, if you could close the hearing subject to me adding the spot elevations on here, and I'll get that together. That'd be great.
That would be okay with me.
So we need the plans first. So I guess I'm looking for a motion to continue then?
What?
I was
No.
wondering, could you possibly close the hearing subject to me providing these spot grades that?
Well, first of all, you have to let you still get out, see if there's anybody who wants to speak on this matter.
It's true.
Any neighbors. And then at that point, you can,
right.
if the commission doesn't have any other questions, then we can make
Okay.
some other suggestions.
Anybody, we have opened it up to the public, correct? Or we have not?
Not yet. No.
Motion to open to the public, please.
Yep, you don't need a motion, but through the chair, you guys mentioned snow, and I would have no issues with them pushing snow to the grassy area to the right, but I don't think they should be pushing snow down the embankment and to the BVW. So it has to stay in the buffer zone on the grassy area.
Correct.
That's fine. Yeah, I agree.
All right,
Okay.
so I'm going to let whoever is in the audience speak, if you want to bear with me.
Participants. You have one person raising their hand.
Stu, if you could just remind them that they need to state their name and address, please.
Stella Spiropoulos, 161 Lowell Street.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, they planning to build a driveway in a position that already have been filled with all those 4 trucks. It's about 5 inches to 6 above what it was before. That's why the cement wall that we have to put the fence in,
To reinforce the fence.
to reinforce the fence, it's broken at the bottom because all the water comes in and it broke the cement. Nobody bothers to come and check that. You've been checking constantly on the other side, but the damage is in my property. And I've been asked to somebody come and look at it. It's very obvious. I don't hide anything.
The issue is also, you mentioned the raised beds, and that's all fine and dandy. If you think that's stopping the water from coming in, the water started increasing, flowing from that particular spot. And if you come to our side of the fence, you'll see where the infiltration is. It's where the raised beds start and further down from just that area where those beds are. And I don't know if it's because, I mean, I have to be honest, I haven't seen them watering it's only from natural rain, but whatever was created or altered or whatever has caused water to come through the ground. And the fence, our fence is on a concrete, my father poured a form right under where the fence meets the ground for 2 reasons. 1, to reinforce it, and 2, to stop the animals from digging underneath. But in any case, the water infiltration has caused it to break and crack, and water just gushing in and taking all that mulch that was there for well over 10 years, if not longer, and it just washed it away like a river. So this has never happened before. It only happened from when our neighbors started to put fill in the beginning, and then to do those beds and whatever alterations they've made. And, like I stated before, we don't have a beef with them. We just, they're welcome to improve their property, but not at not at the ruining of ours.
Through
Right
the
now,
chair.
if I could interject here, these are the existing contours. Water flows perpendicular to the contours, and this is how it exists. And so if you follow the cursor, it's going like this, like this, like this.
No, it doesn't.
Well, then
That's
you
how.
explain it. Come and look.
Granted, now here where the house is, it's going like this, like this, like this. But when we have the garage here, if it does
It'd be
that,
worse.
it's going to be trapped in the stone fringe that's wrapping around. At least
Well,
the
no.
1 inch, at least the 1 inch of rainfall would.
Well, I can't, predict the rainfall, but we're certainly getting a lot of water over a week's time for the summer, this summer. I guess my question is, if you is there any way to grade the land from the boxes down? In other words, reduce the height of it at that point so that it traps water before the boxes and runs it down to the brook.
Here.
And yeah, and then second, my question is does the wall extend, does the neighbor's wall extend the length of the driveway?
No.
Does it just start at the point where there's a point?
It starts where the chain link fence is only.
Which is, I can't tell where it is on this drawing.
Chain link fence.
Okay,
The
so
chain link fence starts where that big tree is, where existing
Okay.
old tree. Yeah, right about there, and it runs the length of the property.
okay. My only suggestion is, again, if it'll help to avoid runoff, could you somehow or other trench that area and fill it with stone in front
Yeah.
of the boxes?
I was thinking of doing that. In other
Okay,
words,
'cause
surround the boxes
then at least
with the
we've done
stone.
everything we can.
Yeah, and then pitch it, right?
Yeah, pitch it to the back.
Show grades, because we're going to be showing proposed grades anyway. Add some grades
Right.
here, and then show this triangle, this long triangle, this stone here. It's not going to look that great, but with the boxes in there, there's some green.
Well, it'll eliminate mowing.
Yeah.
But in order to put the boxes, they put underneath gravel, they put wood under, and then they put boxes. So they changed the water flow.
Yeah, but what
Everything.
I'm suggesting is that we do some contouring of the land in front of the boxes and fill that contour with gravel to direct the water flow away from Lowell Street towards the back of the property.
Through the chair.
That would be wonderful. If it works, we're fine.
Yeah, I
with
know.
it. But
Well,
we want some way to fall back on this. If it continues to be a problem and it continues to have more or as much water flowing through, because I'll have to add, we had that runoff and that washing away of mulch way before all these rains. We had a very dry spring, and it was washing away then. So
I would appreciate if somebody come and look at it in our house, in our part of the property.
From this side of the fence, because you really, or did anybody walk up to the fence and look to the other side? Because if you walk right up to the fence and look,
you can see it
into the property, you'll see where everything is just washed away.
Through the chair.
go ahead, Bruce.
Look, I think we're making a mountain out of a molehill here. This is not a big deal to regrade this so that the water goes away from the chain link fence and down towards the back. I don't see what
Okay.
I'm looking at the plan. I'm looking at the ground. I'm looking at the pictures that Lucia presented. This is not, I just don't understand. I don't see what we're doing
Okay.
here.
Well,
I mean, literally, there's no reason you cannot swale that area so the water goes away from their fence and down towards the back. I don't get it. So I don't know I don't know what you guys propose to do as far as asking them for grades, and I don't even think an infiltration trench around the driveway has to be installed. I just think it has to be graded so that the water goes away. When it comes down the driveway, it goes down and it goes away from the fence. It's not that difficult. I don't, again, the pictures, I wasn't on site. The pictures probably don't depict it as, I believe these people are having a water problem. I don't necessarily believe that it's because of what the other people did, but whatever. If they want to build a garage, they're going to have to regrade the site. They're going to have to grade the driveway. And Michael's absolutely correct. All we have to do is set some spot grades and say, look, the water, so that the water cannot flow towards the fence. I mean, if am I incorrect that the driveway was existing? There's been no change to the asphalt driveway, correct?
To this dash line, this is where it existed to. We're adding this amount. But I'm storing a 1 inch depicting storage of the entire length of driveway and the entire roof of the garage.
Well, in
Because it's
agreement
going to pick up velocity as it comes here, so you might as well store it all.
In agreement with what Bruce is saying, if you could grade the grassy area to the right of the driveway, the triangle piece, so it slopes away from the neighbor, that would, and grade it so that it slopes also towards the back.
Infiltration trenches over time will fill up with silt and whatever, just over time. But there's no reason in the world, from what I can see in these pictures, that that area cannot be graded so that there's just a small swale. So when the water comes off the driveway, it goes into the swale and goes down to the back.
And I mean, if they take away
that driveway, that's an old driveway that I see in these pictures. So that hasn't changed.
We could show a detail, a cross section of the stone fringe here with this, a silt fabric around it, so it doesn't fill up as much with silt. In other words, there's a pocket of stone that doesn't get invaded by silt because it has a little fabric around it.
So I guess my question is, why are we opposed to just swaling, just putting a small swale right where your cursor is, or right to where the driveway hits the fence? Why can that area not be pitched so that it goes away from the other property?
Right.
You only need, I mean, you're talking about runoff. An eighth of an inch per foot is plenty. It's going to be a minor thing. If it's done right, no one's even going to see it. And then there'll be no possible way the water can go towards this people's house.
You can. How about this? We pitch this way. We show the grades pitching this way, all the way to the triangle, and have the head of swale here. But you see,
right.
You don't want to have a lot of. In other words, use this triangle as the swale, but it can't be too wide because I want to make sure we get the grades pitched away from the fence, and then gather in the swale, and then end it at the buffer zone. Buffer zone lines here. So it just,
I would prefer to see the grades come in that green triangle to have all the grades pitching back to the driveway. Okay, and then the driveway, that big the big open part of the driveway, be graded such that from the street side or the part of the garage that's closest to Lowell Street, that whole section with the higher spot would be the edge of the garage, and from there that would all grade back to the grass in the back, but not to the butter on the right. It just that it'll be level at the garage opening. Then when the guy paves it, he's going to pave it such that it's kind of like almost like super elevate down in a way, and that can all be shown with contours and grades.
So you're saying so if there's a peak on the roof of the garage, so it's going to be pitching this way. I just wanted to
Yeah.
capture it. We could do a combination. How about we do a combination of the swale and the trench? In other words, keep the
That's
trench
fine.
here
That's fine.
and then swale here. So
Yeah, you pick up the
direct it
backside.
in the
pick the
directed
backside.
in the trench and on the surface. So if it's frozen, get it to the swale here, and then end the swale so it dissipates and broadens out. broadens out.
I don't want the whole
Buffer.
driveway. I don't want the whole driveway pitching from the building all the way over to the right-hand side of the property to get to a swale. I don't want that.
Yeah, all right.
I don't want that. I want the driveway to pitch to the back. So you're gonna,
Exactly.
you're gonna,
All right.
you know,
Exactly.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we have why don't we have a, I don't know, like two swales that kind of like meet here. You're like in the middle. The thing is that's working the buffer zone, so I was trying to avoid that. But we have the stone trench, and the trench is essentially a swale, but it's full of stone. All right, so that's grading this way, and it stops at the middle. All right, so then that way, Mike, you don't have a long flow line. So it gets to here, and then it diverges to this combined swale.
Again, the intent is to keep the water flow away from the neighbors. So however you pitch the driveway or the swales, it shouldn't send water cascading over the wall to them.
yeah.
Or
So what I'm
under
saying
the
is,
wall.
so not to keep belaying this, you know, if you're looking at the edge of the driveway on the triangle side, where the triangle is the smallest, towards the, you know, heading towards Lowell Street. If that point there was elevation 10, right? Going down the driveway, you got 10, 9.9, and these grades just a number. 10, 9.9, 9.8, 9.7, 9.6, 9.5. So now you get to at the back corner, you're at elevation 8. Okay, and then along that whole back side can be elevation 8, and then everything from the garage, the front right-hand corner to Lowell Street, those grades are like around 8.5, and everything's pitching back to 8. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so nothing's going to that triangle. The only thing that's going to that, everything's coming from the triangle.
Mm-hmm.
From the triangle, it pitches into the driveway. From the driveway, it pitches in towards the driveway, but runs to the back of it. So you're not directing any water purposefully to the right to get into that triangle. That's not a drop of water is going to fall and go straight back.
Yeah, it gathers here like this. Okay. I could, you know, it's not a big deal. I could just add some grades and
Okay. The next, is there any other comments from the audience at this point? Hearing none, I guess. Do we close the public hearing and then move to continue this?
Are we gonna, Rob, can you get us a new plan?
yeah, sure. Yeah, if you can close the hearing subject to providing these grade changes, I could do that. Yeah, either way.
Who's gonna wait, who's gonna review the grades? Or should we just come back one more time?
Do it, we can look at it, but I don't know whether I don't think it's necessary to bring the DPS into this.
Through the chair, due to the contentious nature of the two neighbors on either side, I would prefer not being the person reviewing the plan. So I'm sorry, Rob, but I don't think it's a good idea to close it and vote contingent. Because then you guys are putting a lot on me, and then if something happens, I'm gonna get blamed. So unless one of you guys wants to review it, Mike and Bruce, that's fine if you guys are going to review it, but I don't want it on my shoulders to review it. And then if, God forbid, something happens, I'm now the person who approved it.
I mean,
I agree with that. I agree.
I could look at it.
I could meet with you if you want. Like, it's only taking a short period of time to put this together.
And what are we saving by just closing it and not issuing a decision? We're not saving any time really by just
Well, the only I'm
closing it.
closing is the public hearing part, but we can leave
That
it
doesn't-
open until, we can leave it
doesn't-
open until we
But
get the
once you
plan.
close the public hearing, then you have to issue the order of conditions. You only
Right,
get so much.
he wants to issue the conditions contingent upon the spot grades being what we want.
Right.
Yeah,
Again, I agree with Lucia on this one. I think he should just give us the spot. He'll come back one more time next month. I understand he's in a hurry to get a foundation in, but that way we can review it. We look at it, okay. And I just want to make sure this is going to be contingent upon, because Lucia's right. It's the people next door. It's contentious. They don't want any water flowing on their property. So
Mhm.
again, I don't think it's a big deal to get the water to flow down the driveway and away from
No,
their
I
property.
don't either.
But that being said, why can't we just wait one more meeting? Everybody looks at it, and then remember now, somebody's going to have to do an as-built on this one to make sure that the elevations are correct. Because that you can say, yeah, that we're going to do it according to this, but who's going out to inspect it afterwards?
Right.
So somebody's going to have to do an as-built to say, okay, yeah, it was done per.
Yeah, well, that'll be Rob's job to make sure that it's built right.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with waiting. I'm certainly okay waiting one more meeting so that gives Rob time to work this out and get a plan to us.
Exactly.
So we leave the public hearing open until the next meeting and
Yes.
then vote get a motion to continue this meeting until October, correct?
Yes.
Through the chair, before you guys make that motion, which I'm supportive of, I also supportive of you guys closing it and issuing contingent order. But so if you are now having him make a swale, is he removing the stone around the driveway perimeter?
I don't think he needs it, but that's up to him.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, on the back side, there's not much room in the back. That's probably a good thing to have it in the back.
I agree.
You know, so.
Aesthetically, it looks better if it's surrounding it, the
Yeah.
driveway.
I think it'll help. It'll work well under most conditions. Wintertime is not as much, but
I think just putting it around the structure itself would be sufficient.
Well, the problem is still that the water coming off a driveway may
gonna run in the
into the
grass.
fence.
But with the stone there, I would say put the stone in, but just do what we said with the grades.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, so do I get a motion to continue?
So I would make the motion to continue this to next meeting so we can get a new plan, a revised plan that shows contours and/or spot grades that clearly show how the driveway is going to be constructed, so it demonstrates that the water is flowing as we talked about.
I
Second,
second that.
roll call?
Did I hear authors make that motion to second
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that motion to continue was made by Mr. Rizzo, seconded by Mr. Athos. Roll call. Chairman Lazares,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Green.
Yes.
All right, so it has continued 6-0 to October 11th.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Dun, dun, dun. 13 agenda.
I think item 5 and 6 are going to be continued.
5 and 6 are
Well, 5 is definitely continued if you want to read it. Attorney Kelty did give me a continuance letter. I believe number 6, 60 Pulaski wants to give a presentation. Quick
Yes.
presentation though, because we're not going to be able, I think he, it's been on the agenda and I think he wants to, let you guys see it. And then if you guys have any issues, then he doesn't have to go back to the drawing board after peer review, etc.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, item 5, public hearing on a notice of intent submitted by Attorney John Kelty for Farhat Group, the owner of the land, and the applicant AGA Foster LLC. Proposed work is a redevelopment of a former leather factory for a commercial storage building. The property is known as 47 Tremont Street, map 75, lot 165, Peabody, Mass. We got a letter to continue this, correct? And I'm looking for a motion to continue.
Motion to continue item 5 to our next meeting.
Second,
Seconded.
roll call.
Yep, that motion was made by Mr. Rizzo, seconded by Ms. Green. Roll call. Chairman Lazares,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Green.
Yes.
All right, so that is continued to October 11th, 6-0.
Item 6, public hearing on notice of intent submitted by Williams and Sparages LLC, Thorson Ackerley for Ray Filete. The proposed work is construction of a commercial building, driveways, parking, landscaping, utilities, stormwater, public walking trail with canoe launch, and riverfront restoration. Property is known as 60 Pulaski Street, map 53, lot 85, Peabody, Mass. We have somebody here from I'm sorry, Williams and Sparages.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record, Chris Sparagus, civil engineer. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you for having me tonight. We continued this after we submitted the application already, and so we're just getting a little bit anxious, and we want to present this plan, which we're pretty excited about. It's a redevelopment of a property that's been in tough shape for a long time. So is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to pull up the plan set here, and you're going to see the first plan is our locus map, and the gray shape in the middle of the screen is the locus of the property. So we're at 60 Pulaski Street. So if you can picture Peabody on a map, we're up in the northeast corner, about as far as you can go. In fact, one of our property lines is the town line.
Chris, can you make the screen, the picture bigger? Sure.
I'm zoomed out on purpose, but that's okay. I'll zoom in a little bit. This is the locus, and I was just pointing out that the property is right on the Peabody Danvers town line here. Across the street from the property is Dobbs Road, and we have industrial properties and other commercial properties that abut us on both sides of the property. And we do have a rather large residential neighborhood. If you go down Dobbs Road a little bit, there are single family homes in this neighborhood down here. Just wanted to give you a rough idea of where we are. This piece of land is about 6.7 acres. And it is currently zoned light industrial, and it also has a mill overlay district over it. It has frontage, obviously, along Pulaski Street, quite a bit of frontage. And you may recall that we were in front of the commission back in 2022 with an ANRAD where we confirmed the limits of the wetland resources. So that happened back in March of 22. This property historically has been used as a slaughterhouse, rendering works, fertilizer company, tannery. The uses go back to the early or the mid 1800s based on our research. Most recently, if we go back just before the year 2000, the primary building that was on the property, if I zoom out and we'll go to the next plan here, where I'll bring up what we're proposing to do, just as a quick guide. There was a old building, and there's still remnants of the building in the back of the property here that burned back in 1998. But the property is in really rough shape. There's debris and construction debris and what have you throughout the property. It's in really rough shape. We characterize the property as degraded in many ways. We also have evidence that the operation, the rendering works, where it was along the Waters River, is considered. We believe it's considered to be a historic mill complex. We had a building on the property that was in existence prior to August 7th of 1996, and obviously it was a manufacturing operation that used water for transportation. We submitted a picture that dates back to the mid 1800s, a picture of the factory with a tall ship parked out here on Waters River. So it's got quite a bit of history, and what we'd like to do now is try to redevelop it. Part of the history towards the latter part of the way it was used as a tannery resulted in some contamination on the property, and because of that, there have been several evaluations and environmental site assessments. I'm going to flip down to our layout plan real quick to show you our layout plan so that I can describe to you the limits of where some of this contamination happened. Back when it was used as a tannery, there was some releases of the substances that they used for the tanning process, and there is an area of the property that's defined by this shape here. That's the area that contains some of the contaminated soils. This went through an extensive review process with DEP, with their hazardous waste group, and the result was an activity, what they call an AUL, an activity use limitation, that was finalized in 2020 and recorded at the Registry of Deeds, which describes what you really shouldn't do within the AUL. And the limitations really have to do with the DP said that we don't really want to see any kind of a nursery with residential use, that sort of thing back here. But in terms of commercial industrial uses, those types of things do not violate the activity use limitation. They also want us to be careful when we dig in the soil with this area during construction. And if we dig down more than 3 feet, they want us to have a professional on site, not a civil engineer, but an LSP, which you've probably heard those words before. That's someone who has expertise in the Massachusetts contingency plan. And there'll be an LSP will have a soil management plan in place that will help make sure that any soils that are excavated are handled properly and not deposited anywhere outside the existing AUL. So that's a little bit about the existing conditions. Just to refresh your memory about the wetland resources, because that's why we're here, of course, before the Conservation Commission. We are on the Waters River, and there's also another intermittent stream that comes through the property from drainage in Pulaski Street over here on the north side. And then we have a bordering vegetative wetland that borders Waters River. And Waters River, of course, has a mean annual high water line that we established when we did our ANRAD, and that's by elevation because this is a tidal river. We have that information shown on our plan. And if we continue going upstream a little bit, and I'm going to change my screen here, you tell me, can you see the color drawing now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So on this color rendering, the green line that I was tracing on the other plane, this is the limit of the wetland, the bordering wetland. You can see the edge of the mean annual high water, which is elevation 4.1, out a little bit further. That's this blue line. And then we also are in an area that FEMA has designated as a special flood hazard area. It's a tidal situation, so it's a coastal wetland resource area known as land subject to coastal storm flowage, and that's to elevation 10. And we've also shown that on the plan as well. As a coastal flood hazard area.
Can you make the screen bigger, please?
Sure. Let's go zoom in a little bit here.
Because I'm a little confused.
Yeah, there are a few lines here, right?
The blue line at the upper left is what is a river?
Yeah, so let's start with the colors, the furthest ones away. From some survey maps, this light blue line is considered the thread of the river on some old plans. That's in the water, so we don't really pay attention to this guy. It was just a line that shows on some survey plans.
Okay.
Then we have a darker blue line, that's this dashed line. That's the actual edge of the mean high water. So that's the edge of the river, if you will.
Okay.
Okay. And of course, that edge of river has a riverfront area associated with it that extends 200 feet from this line. And you can see coming way back into the site here, that's 200 feet from that mean high water line. Then we have the wetland, which is the green line at the bottom of the slope, let's call it. This is the edge of the BVW, which is essentially a marsh.
Mm-hmm.
And then slightly above the wetland, there's a floodplain, a special flood hazard area that if you were to open up a FEMA map, it'll show that a portion of this property, can flood to elevation 10 during that 1% storm event. And we have it identified with this line work and the letters SFHA and the number 10, so special flood hazard area 10, and you can follow how that comes in and out of the site. It's really determined by elevation, and it wraps around the site. These are the wetland resources that we identified and confirmed as part of the ANRAD and the ORAD that the Commission issued in March of 2020.
What is the elevation of the rectangular area?
The proposed building, if you will.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've got a few more things to present, but the elevation, the floor of the building is elevation 22.5.
So well above the flood, the proposed.
That's
flood.
right. About 12.5 feet above the special flood hazard area. So that's quite a bit higher.
Yeah. If we have that kind of flood, we're all in trouble.
Yeah, I would say so. Okay. So the only other thing I wanted to mention about the existing condition has to do with the status of the riverfront area. Now, I mentioned before that we believe that we're exempt from the Rivers Protection Act because we're designating this property as a historic mill complex. But even though we're saying that, we are doing our best to honor work in the riverfront area. And you'll see what I mean when I present to you the extensive riverfront restoration plan that we're proposing for this property. The riverfront area is very much degraded, but we're proposing to clean it up and revegetate it with native trees and shrubs, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. So the proposal is the plan that you see before you. And it involves removing all of the old debris and the junk and the construction materials that are strewn throughout the site, especially within the degraded riverfront area. And then the proposed development involves a commercial building. It's this gray square. At this time, the mill overlay district allows us to have multiple different types of uses, but for now, what we're proposing is an industrial use and about 41,280 square feet of the building in the back. And then out front, you can see these 4 squares of 3,000 square foot of space for proposed business uses in the front of the building. We're providing 135 parking spaces to support these uses, and you can see the way the parking is laid out. Let me just zoom out just a little bit so you can see that we're proposing 2 entrances, both two-way traffic. So a main parking field in the front, and then another parking field on the side of the building. And then out in back is a larger area with a loading dock in the back here that would support the industrial building and the industrial use. This allows room for larger vehicles to turn around and easily maneuver in and out of the loading dock and come back and out of the property. One unique aspect of the project that came up, we've been talking about this property for quite a while and have talked to Lucia informally in the office, and we heard through Lucia that there was some support in the neighborhood to possibly supply and provide a canoe launch along the river somewhere here. So what this plan proposes is an extensive trail system that's going to run from the street out here along a sidewalk and then a trail just like this with a couple of stopping locations that brings you out in the back here, and then a proposed canoe launch area at this location. That's about 750 feet of public walking trail access from Pulaski Street. That's a big part of our plan. And I'll show you a little bit more of that in detail when I show you the planting plan. The riverfront restoration plan that I mentioned, I'd like to just go back real quick to the plan set so that I can quickly just scroll down to the planting plan, which is this plan. In addition to the requirements of the zoning ordinance for providing plantings along the street frontage and within the parking lot, that sort of thing, let's call it the usual landscaping requirements that the city requires, we're proposing an extensive riverfront area restoration plan that's going to focus on revegetating with woody shrubs and trees along that trail that we talked about. You can see all the plantings wrapping around the site. Altogether, we're looking at 144 plantings of native trees and shrubs that'll be accomplished in this area here. The other important aspect of this project as a redevelopment project is that we're going to be building a new building, a new parking, and so that means that we have to comply with DEP's stormwater management standards and regulations. And so we're proposing a brand new and fully compliant stormwater management system that conforms to DEP's stormwater management regulations. Our stormwater management areas also include some low impact development type stormwater management areas. And so we have, and I'm going to zoom in here so we can look at it a little bit in a little bit more detail. So the stormwater management areas include 3 subsurface infiltration areas. There's one out front that collects the parking area in front of the building. There's one on the side of the building here that collects the stormwater that falls in this parking field. And then there's a large one in the back. You can see that one here. This one is designed to collect all of the roof runoff. Half of the roof would come in on this side, and then the other half would come in on this side. And then we have a couple of rain gardens that we're proposing as our low impact development BMPs or best management practices. There's a large rain garden that we're proposing out back. And this is designed to handle the stormwater that flows in the back of the industrial building here. You can see it back here. That'll be planted with again with shrubs and various plantings, and have several different layers below the ground to help treat the water before it goes into the ground. And then out front along the street, we have a small rain garden that'll help us collect some of the water that's going to be coming off of this grass area that's also going to be wooded as well. In addition to the main stormwater management areas, we have to get the water there. And so the rest of our stormwater management system includes other best management practices, the typical types of things that you see on other projects: deep sump catch basins, sediment trap forebays. That's this guy here, where the water falls into first before going into the rain garden. And then at our discharges, we have a couple of them here. And then over here, we have large level spreaders that are designed to handle the rate of the water that's coming out. So we actually size the sizes of the rocks to make sure that the water coming out of the pipe doesn't move them all over the place. So that's my quick presentation. Hopefully that was quick enough for you. I'm here tonight to answer questions and ask you what you think about what we're proposing here. Thank you very much.
I think that your presentation was excellent. You covered a lot of areas and questions and supplied answers that were relevant. I have one question that, just because it is in a neighborhood, is there any plan to put in solar panels on the roof?
So that I haven't, let me take a step back. So at this time, we don't know exactly who the tenants are going to be. And in terms of architecture, that design detail has not even been thought about yet. In other words, how we're going to heat or provide electricity to the building. So I'll bring that question back to the owner of the property, who's also the developer, and we'll see if that can become part of the project. I assume that you're asking because you'd like to see the project use solar panels if possible.
Yeah, I think that the future is going to require alternative sources of energy from what we currently have. And electricity plays a big part in it. Admittedly, at this point, in my understanding, is you can generate electricity from a solar panel, but you have to store it someplace. So your system would require battery backups and also the ability to, at some point, hook up to the PMLP grid and supply power to them, or take power from them as you need it. But I think that it'd be important for the environment if we could incorporate some non-fossil fuel means to generate electricity.
I understand. I'm taking down some notes, and I'll take it back to the architectural team and the owner.
The other thing that is showing up around the neighborhood, will there be charging stations located in your parking lot for electric vehicles?
So we have not shown any at this time.
I know.
A lot of zoning ordinances are changing and requiring that. So maybe we should just plan on it and update the plan to include some.
Thanks. Again, the solar panels would facilitate some of that too. So it's not a drain on expenses to buy it from someplace else.
I think it would be good if we picked something out front so that as people drove by, the more people see it,
Yeah.
the more it'll become, commonplace.
The only other thing is you indicated a planting in a rain garden area and plantings along the waterfront. When we get further down the road, we would probably require a plant list so that we can, review it and make sure. Because in the area where it's going to get flooded, there's plants that will survive that. And I don't want to plant stuff that's not going to.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't go into a lot of detail on the planting plan, but you should know that we used the Massachusetts Coastal Landscaping Plant List, and the seed mix that we're going to use to oversee that area is the New England Coastal Salt Tolerant Grass Mix. So something that the choices that we made here are meant for areas near the coast. So we're happy to I'll point you on the planting plan that you see here. The riverfront area plant schedule is up here in the upper left-hand corner, and those species are shown on the plan.
Okay, cool. The other thing too is the Waters River, does it become salt water or brackish as the tide rolls in at this point?
So that's a good question. I'm gonna assume that it must, because we are subject to tidal action. Exactly how much, I'm not sure. So is there a reason why you're asking, or?
Only because you got to make sure the plants survive the salt water. You're planting a marsh, if you will, or planting in a marsh area.
Okay.
You want to make sure the salt water doesn't kill the plants you're putting in. And there are plants that do that, so. Any other questions from the board?
I have some questions. So this site, as you all know, that this site here is I think the only property in the city where we are touching the ocean for all intent and purposes. So this is something I've always hoped that we could do something along the Waters River and have something that's accessible to the public for something such as this, a path, a walk, certainly a canoe launch. So in the spirit of that, if you go back to the other drawing, the color drawing, you can see it. I can see it better with the blue line. Where the canoe launch is, so to the left of that, I don't see any public access, and to me, every foot of access to the ocean for our city is important. And is there any way that we can do something so we can enjoy all that footage and not be cut off with that back section?
Sure. So you're talking about this area, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will bring that back to the team. I understand why you're asking. It's relatively flat in there too. We kind of picked the path to follow a relatively flat area. So let me go back to the owner and see if they would be willing to extend it into this area.
Okay.
And hopefully connect it back to Pulaski Street.
You mean to do a loop, if you will?
Yeah.
Well,
find out, because I think it's important. I haven't asked for the sand beach yet in the palm trees, but as we get...
So as we haven't, that was a good presentation. Thank you. And but we haven't discussed whether or not whether it's our duty to try to restrict any construction in the inner or outer riparian zone for the river. But certainly demonstrating, helping to provide an opportunity to have the public to have enjoyment and some use of the along the water there. So with regards to regulations and stuff, I'm just not positive at this time what the rules are for inner and outer riparian zone disturbance in the floodplain and in this tidal area and so forth. But I certainly am thrilled to see something starting with that. Maybe at the next meeting we could get more into the regulation that says you can do what you're doing.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
We do think long and hard about this stuff before we. It takes a lot of time and effort to put together a plan set like this. So
yep, I know
we don't take it lightly. So we believe that we have very good arguments to explain to you how we comply with the regulations. So we'd be happy to do that.
That's great.
Very good.
I'm not as familiar with Peabody as others. And what is is it vacant land right there right now, or is it actually buildings? That I know the mills are just over to the left, correct? The mill buildings where they're actually in operation.
That's correct. That's the property right next door to us here. On this property, there's remnants of a building foundation out in the back here, and then other areas that are packed gravel and debris and material that's strewn kind of throughout the property. It's a mess out there.
So it's basically, for the most part, it's vacant. It's abandoned.
Right, the building, what was left of the building that was abandoned for a long time, burned in 1998, and then they tore down the remnants, in the year 2000, I believe, or shortly thereafter. And the owners since then, there's been multiple owners, but they've been sitting on it, trying to figure out ways to redevelop it. And our client, who also owns and operates property at 58 Pulaski, where that old factory building is with the big smokestack, is looking to try to redevelop this property as well.
Okay.
Very good.
Any other questions from the commission?
No, I'm pretty good.
Lucia's got her hand up.
Yep, through the chair. I just wanted to, Chris, did I hear you say that I just looked at the NOI, and I suggest if anyone hasn't looked at the NOI, Chris did, or someone in his office did a fabulous job with the NOI, and it looks to me like they are using the historic mill complex. So Mike, I think that might answer your question about the inner and outer riparian zone.
Okay, yeah.
Am I correct in saying that, Chris?
Yes, there's a section in 10.58.6 that says that if a historic mill complex is exempt from the requirements of the Rivers Act, but in saying that, I wanted to make sure that you understood as a commission that we still want to try to see what we can do to improve what's there.
Yeah.
Yep, and through the chair, one last thing. DEP did post their comments, I think like a couple days ago, and pretty much their comments were soil test pits. And Chris, were those included in the original NOI, or were they sent later? Like, because I
No.
thought
Yeah, they're in. They were always in there.
Okay, so they didn't see them either then.
Yeah,
DEP
so
missed
they're
them too.
the test hole data is on the plan, and we can't really design these underground stormwater management areas without them because we have to be so many feet above estimated seasonal high groundwater. And so for a few reasons, this one's pretty straightforward because we kind of have to pick the site up a little bit to make sure that we're well above that floodplain. And just because we're picking up the site helps us get well above the estimated seasonal high groundwater table, even for our underground stormwater management areas. But I'll respond in writing to DEP's comment to explain it to them.
Very good.
One last question. Is it out of the purview of the Concom, but is it industrial is meant to be warehouse space?
So it could be something like that. It could be some kind of an industrial use. If you open up the zoning ordinance, there are many different possibilities. It could be some kind of manufacturing or
Okay.
yeah, it could be something like that. We just don't know. But as we get closer, hopefully, to permitting this, and they could put it on, the developer can put it on the market to try to attract tenants. That's his intent, and then we'll see, who comes forward.
Okay, just curious.
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
good. Thank you, Ms. Good presentation. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much.
Uh,
We're pretty
question.
excited about this one.
Chris, has this plan been presented to the planning board or building inspectors at all?
It has not. We,
Okay.
Bob Langley has got his hands on it and intends on sending it out for peer review.
He is.
With regard to stormwater management, just so you're aware. So that's going to be happening soon. It hasn't started yet, though.
Bob Langley is going to be sending it out for peer review. So I would, this will probably be continued till we get the peer review.
I think you're right. And if it's okay with the commission, we can push this out, one more meeting past the October meeting if you'd like.
Sure. Could do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have anybody from the public that wants to speak on this?
There's no one in the audience
Nobody
with their
at
hand
the
raised up, so I would suggest, for time's sake,
Yeah.
you guys continue it to November
We just,
hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to continue this to our November meeting.
Seconded.
roll call.
The motion was made by Mr. Rizzo, seconded by Mrs. Green. Miss Green, excuse me, roll call. Chairman Lazaris,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Green.
Yes,
I wasn't, I didn't get my,
Oh, sorry, Secretary Vivaldi.
yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very
6-0.
much.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Moving on, get this up. Number 7, I believe, right?
Item
Yeah,
6.
request for determination of applicability. 6,
7.
we just discussed 6, yes?
No, 7.
Yeah, we just discussed 6. 7, the request for determination of applicability, a public hearing on a request for determination of applicability submitted by Oak Consulting Group LLC, Sean P. Malone, the PE for Brooksby by Erickson Senior Living. The project consists of removal and reconstruction of a failing wall in an area proximate to a stormwater wet pond. The property is known as 1 Brooksby Village Drive, map 27, lot 005X in Peabody. Is anybody here?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Sean Malone from Oak Consulting Group. And with me
Is
tonight
anybody
is
here
also,
to discuss it or present it?
yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Sean Malone from Oak Consulting Group, the engineer in the project. And also with me tonight is Mr. Anthony Kuzawinski from Brooksby Village, Erickson. I don't know if he's already been promoted, but if he could be promoted, he'd like to just say a few words as an introduction, and then I'll kind of get into the nuts and bolts. Your voice, your sound isn't working. Okay. All right.
Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. As I stated, I'm Sean Malone, working with Brooksby Village to try to fix a failing retaining wall on their site. May I share my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'll just give a quick context. This is the Brooksby Village. I'm sure a lot of people, if not everybody on the commission, is familiar with it. It's approximately 90 acres. I think approximately 16 buildings featuring various care options, independent living, assisted living, and nursing home facilities. The site was constructed with a couple of wet basins that are right here. This one here is known as Upper Basin. This is the Lower Basin. And the water flows, stormwater, and flows into this basin. It's weir controlled underneath this bridge crossing into the Lower Basin. The area that we're talking about is this little parking area right here, and I'll zoom in a little bit. And this is a parking area, is 5 spaces. There's a concrete sidewalk around it, and there's approximately 5-foot high retaining wall around the border, with the parking being on the high side, a sloped vegetated slope, and then the wet pond. This wall has been in a failure condition for a little bit now, and seems to be getting a little bit worse, and Brooksby would like to go ahead and get this fixed. This is a picture of the north side of the wall. You can see it was constructed with kind of a small modular block that just seemed to be disintegrating and eroding away. This here is the south side facing the pond. So obviously, we want to fix this as soon as possible to prevent a more catastrophic failure, which then could push some sediment, debris, whatever into the pond. So the proposal is to remove this existing wall as well as the concrete sidewalk surrounding it. As a first order of work, we'd install a sedimentation barrier around the limit of work. This would consist of a compost filter sock as well as a silt fence backing to give a good solid barrier. All the work would be done from this parking lot area. We don't anticipate the need of any equipment going down into the grassed area, the vegetated area. So all work would be from the paved surface. On this, just a quick section kind of showing there's about a 5-foot high wall here. We would then propose to rebuild the wall in essentially the same footprint. It's actually a little bit smaller footprint when we straightened out these walls here. So we're a little bit less impervious area than the existing condition. The wall would be constructed and then infilled, and the concrete walk and fence would then be replaced. Again, all work occurring from the high side. Would be changing the wall material from that small block that was disintegrating to a larger gravity wall. These blocks are about 4 feet wide, 2 feet high, and really give a good sturdy, robust wall that'll be durable. Another attractive thing about this type of wall system is it can be constructed very, very quickly. They're just simply, you don't have to worry about tie back geofabric. It's place the blocks, get all one layer set, backfill, and keep on going. It's kind of like building Legos, if you would. The total area of disturbance is approximately 2,000 square feet. We do anticipate that we'll have some disturbance of this vegetated area on the low portion of the wall, just to construct the wall itself. And that's reflected in where the sedimentation barrier is located. But after the wall is constructed, we'll reloam and seed all disturbed areas and cover with a biodegradable erosion control fabric rated for the steeper slopes. So with this project, we feel we're implementing all the appropriate erosion controls. We've submitted a construction schedule from C.E. Floyd that showed the construction durations anticipated to be about 4 weeks. So we're talking about a pretty quick burn here. The wall, as I said, would be within the footprint of the existing wall, no closer to the resource area, and with slightly less impervious area. So with all that considered, we're requesting that the commission find a negative determination so this work could proceed. That's all I have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Sounds straightforward to me. And the pond is a BMP in itself anyways. So I would like to see us move on this to get this rebuilt, and I think I could support the negative determination with the conditions that we, a number of conditions we can include.
Through the chair, it looks like the person entitled Brooksby Village wants to speak. If they could unmute themselves and speak.
Sure.
Just say their name again. I missed the name, Sean. Could you just say that name again of the person from Brooksby who's here?
I believe that's probably Anthony Kozowinski.
If
It looks
I
like they're
may,
gone now. I don't know. They raised their hand and now I don't see them, so they must have left.
Yeah, it seemed like he was having some audio difficulties.
if I may, does, Sean, do you have a, do you or the applicant have uh, other previous projects where you could, a photo of what it might look like where you're proposing here at Brooksby?
Yes, I know we've used the same wall system down in Concord, Massachusetts, at Concord Academy along a railroad bed. If you're looking to see if I can get a picture up quickly, I can try to dig that up if you give me a moment or two.
Hey, Sean, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Tony.
Yes.
Oh, man, I apologize. New iPad, I couldn't turn the microphone on. Anyway, I appreciate the presentation, Sean. While you look at the picture, I'm Anthony with Erickson Senior Living, our corporate headquarters over Brooksby, and as Sean's working for the picture, I appreciate everybody's time tonight and looking forward to getting this. As Sean mentioned, we have a contract and we have a contractor ready, and in preparation for this. As you can see, the wall is failing and eventually going to catastrophically fail, if you will, into the water, and we're trying to prevent that. Unfortunately, I think got brought up right before COVID, and then kind of got lost in the COVID of what COVID was for senior living, and now we are, active and ready to take care of this. So I appreciate the time why Sean took it for a picture. I think we're in some middle phase now, and the residents and community itself are anxious to get this resolved. I just wanted to say that. Sorry I couldn't get on earlier.
The one picture that I could think of, it doesn't have a great view, but I'm hoping maybe it gives you some sense of scale on this. But this is the wall here, over here. So it's kind of a larger block. It's got a rough face. It's, I think considered a limestone finish. So it's kind of more of a limestone look than what's out there now with the smaller blocks. I apologize, I don't have something more clear for you.
So clarify if I'm incorrect, but those blocks, don't they have like cavities in them, and then they're filled with stone, and then the next piece goes on top of that and it's filled with stone. They go in. So the wall actually is permeable. So any groundwater from behind the wall can get through. It's not like a gravity wall that you're holding water back. It's actually, it works great. These things are awesome. These types of walls.
That's exactly right, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yeah.
This is the section shows the stone backfill in between the blocks.
Excellent. Will there be at the back side of it where you'd be parking? Will there be a guardrail in that along that, so people won't drive over?
There is not a guardrail present. There's a fence, and the sidewalk is approximately, there's a vertical granite curb, and then this sidewalk is about 6 or 7 feet wide.
Okay, then you got a fence. Then there's a fence.
And then we have a fence along the edge of the wall here.
Okay, all right. Very good. Yeah, these are nice systems. They work really well.
Anybody else in the commission have any questions?
Is there any information
Anybody
from the city? Any comments and staff comments?
I don't know of any.
There should be a memo from Mr. Langley in the OneDrive, and then I gave you guys 2 recommended conditions. It's my opinion the work needs to be done immediately, because if the wall fails, we're going to have a pretty difficult situation on our hands. So, and maybe the erosion log should be of a larger diameter, not the I can't remember what was on the plan. If it
You
was
said
8 inch, it
18-inch
definitely needs,
diameter.
it's, excuse me?
Yes.
Your memo said 18
If it's the
inch, but
8
I think
inch,
you
I
meant
don't think an
8.
8 inch barely even works for single family houses.
Yeah, we
Um,
we have 12 to 18 inch on the filter sock diameter.
You could double those if you wanted to. You can put one behind the other and double up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. Um,
All right. Our staff indicated that DPS may not want to or may not review this file.
Well, there might be did you guys look on the OneDrive? Because there would, if DPS did review it, there is a memo on it, which I mean, I can look.
Okay.
yeah, for some
I
reason
didn't see it.
I'm not getting the OneDrive. I looked at it, but I didn't see it, and I can't get on it now. So,
There's nobody in the audience, correct? That
I didn't hear
wishes
you
to
say-
speak on this? Huh?
Yep. Mike, if you're having issues with the OneDrive, you definitely need to have someone help you with that, because like that's our lifeline. You
No, I was
definitely need
on the one.
access to it.
I was on the OneDrive all day, but now once I start once I start this, the OneDrive goes behind this picture, and then I go back. It's asking me to sign in again, and I just got
Oh
dropped.
yeah, it's annoying. I get it. Sorry. So I pulled up, this is the plan that has been on the OneDrive probably since like August 19th. So
So we'll just include these. We're gonna just include these comments.
Well,
which,
the recommendation is the applicant. The recommendation is there should.
yeah, they need to be stamped plans signed by the engineer.
Plan by a licensed engineer.
And you have to get a building permit with the building commissioner
And the engineer.
and erosion controls. So
Yeah.
we just got the erosion controls covered. We use 18-inch erosion controls. We'll double up one behind the other and include the comments from DPS, and we're good to go.
Through the chin, there's no silt fence?
I'm sorry, what?
I just think I think there should be a silt fence besides the log.
Yeah, and yeah, Mr. Commissioner, our detail shown on our plan does show the log backed by a silt fence. We
Yeah,
did
I
have
saw
both.
that. Yeah,
All right.
and so including a silt fence.
yeah, do you mind sharing that again? I'll stop sharing if you could share that detail again, just so that we all know that it's there.
Sure. Yep.
And then I just had 2 recommended conditions, and they're extremely basic. It was that it was about the erosion control. So whatever you guys want to word it, I was basically saying that they need to be inspected and approved before work can commence. The erosion log should be the larger size of 18 diameter if feasible, or if you guys want to do the 12, and if there is the silt fence, if you guys think that that is acceptable, that's fine as well. I just think 12 inches is really not that much. Once you get like rain and weather, they like smash down pretty fast. And then so a silt fence is also required due to the close proximity of the wetlands. The catch basin shall be protected as shown on the plan. And I thought I saw something, but if not, we can just, catch basins need to be protected. Yeah, I wrote as shown, so I think you do. Yep, exactly. And then my second condition was, once the project is complete, an email with pictures should be sent to the Concom staff. A site visit may be necessary to confirm work was done in compliance, and then add any DPS conditions or any conditions that the Concom deems appropriate.
And you just add the condition that once the erosion controls are in place, Lou should be notified so she can come out and look at them.
So moved.
Okay,
Has this been, in the public has had an option? Have we, I don't
Is
believe
that a
that.
motion?
yeah, there was nobody there.
Oh, okay. So I'll
Well,
make a motion.
I would just say that if you are in the public and you wish to speak, please raise your hand. Just because people get a little confused with online still. I don't see anyone raising their hand, but that you don't have to like open it or like make the motion. You just say we're gonna open it. But anyway,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Wait for a second.
Second,
all right, motion to close made by Mr. Vivaldi, seconded by Mr. Rizzo. Roll call. Chairman Lazares.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo.
yes.
Secretary Vivaldi.
Yes.
Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
I don't see her.
Commissioner Comack.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
You're muted, Amanda.
I don't even see her.
Maybe she stepped
Amanda,
away.
turn your microphone on.
She might have stepped away, so just
It
pass
should
over
be
her.
5-1 with Amanda not voting,
Okay,
not present.
make a motion to issue a negative determination with the conditions as previously stated about the erosion controls, larger size, or double them up side by side with the silt fence and photos afterwards, and including DEP's comments also.
Great, thank you.
DPS comments, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry, DPS comments.
I second them. I second that motion.
Roll call.
Yep, that was made by Mr. Rizzo, seconded by Mr. Vivaldi. Roll call. Chairman Lazares.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo.
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi.
Yes.
Commissioner Athos.
Yes.
Commissioner Comack.
Yes.
And Commissioner Green. All right, so I'm gonna say 5-1 with Amanda not voting, not present. And just to be clear, so just when there's confusion in meetings, it makes it tough for me later on. So are we asking for the 18-inch with the silt fence, or are you asking for two 12-inch to be doubled up with a silt fence? Or are you just gonna leave it to the discretion of the contractor?
If he can get an 18-inch one, then I'm okay with that. If he can't, we could double up with two 12s.
Is that okay with Brooksby?
Yes, no,
Yes.
that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, we'll make it work, Sean, with whatever we need to do. We just need to get this fixed. So
So we're done.
All right. I look forward to coming out and seeing it finished.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're looking forward to letting you know when it's done.
well, CRDs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
good night.
you. Good night.
133.
Next on the agenda. I'm sorry. Next on the agenda is enforcement order, violation order. Item 8, continued enforcement order issued to Salem Country Club for the following activities: removal of living trees / grinding / grubbing stumps in a buffer zone / in close proximity to jurisdictional resource areas and depositing wood chips in buffer zones and along local riverfront woods. Property address is known as 133 Forest Street, Peabody, Mass. Basically, we have basically saying that there's nobody here from our consultant, and I would like to continue this until our, I want to say October meeting, maybe November, because much of the stuff that there's nothing new that happened recently. And we did receive a letter from Attorney Fogel stating what has been done. And in discussions with the team today, they suggested that they're not going to go out until the fall to see what's alive or what's dead. And they'll come back with the recommendations at that point. So I would suggest we continue this until November.
Okay,
Okay,
no, November,
Yeah,
okay.
unless something dramatic happens, but November would be a good time because then we'll have seen whatever plants are still alive or suffering or living or whatever. And the underbrush that's in the way of some of these things will have died off, hopefully, because it's fall.
But not to be, not to make things difficult, but aren't we, isn't there some time constraints about getting an as-built by November 30th?
Yeah,
And so you want to push this
the
to
as-built is
November?
due. The as-built is due on November 3rd.
Yeah, so why would you want to push this off 2 months when, is there anything that could be addressed in between so we're not up against the wall with delaying anything?
Well, my understanding is that the country club's consultant or engineering firm is currently working on the as-built. So hopefully it'll be done sooner than later. But it does have to be finished by November 30. So your recommendation is to continue this till October and
Yeah,
see
that would
what's
be my
available at that
recommendation.
point.
That would be
Okay.
my recommendation.
You have a motion?
Move to continue to the October
You
meeting.
have a motion?
Yeah, motion to continue to our October meeting so that our consultant can be present.
Second.
Roll call. That motion was made by Mr. Rizzo, seconded by Mr. Athos. Roll call. Chairman Lazaris,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes,
Secretary Vivaldi,
yes,
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Green. All right, I'm gonna put this down as 5-1 with Amanda not present.
We're all set on this one.
yeah, minor permits and trees.
Yeah, moving on to minor permit and trees.
Keep it rolling, Stu.
I think so. In Waste Systems, 300 Forest Street, work within 100-foot of a existing stormwater basin, installation of stationary waste compactor unit existing on paved area. Lucia indicated that this was approved on August 17. So the only we need now is a motion for minutes, July 26th. And do I have a motion to
Well, if you guys could
approve?
just ratify that minor permit, I can't go rogue. I do need you guys to ratify everything. I mean,
I like you to go. You're wrong. All right. Do we have a motion to approve minor permit?
Approve the motion to approve the minor permit.
Second?
Second.
thank you. So
Roll
that motion
call.
was made, yep, that motion was made by Arthur, seconded by Bruce. Roll call, Chairman Lazaris,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
yes,
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes,
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Green. All right, so that passes 5-1 with Amanda no longer present. And moving on to minutes, thanks.
I move to approve the minutes, July 26th and August 1st, 2023 minutes.
Do I get a second?
Did Commissioner Athos read those minutes?
I glanced through them,
Oh, you did, huh?
every other word at least.
I'll second the motion.
All right, I'm going to do a roll call that was made by Arthur, seconded by Mr. Vivaldi. Roll call, Chairman Lazaris,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
and Commissioner Comack,
Yes.
and Commissioner Green. All right, so that passes 5-1 with no Amanda.
Okay.
And are we ready to adjourn?
Time now is 9:05.
It's too quick.
Never too quick.
I've got a lot of sleeping to do tonight, so.
Hey, I tried.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Nice to see everyone.
Yeah.
Well,
Raise
hold
your
on.
hand.
Who made the motion? I thought I heard either Bruce or Arthur make a motion to adjourn.
Arthur did.
Arthur, and do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
All right, so motion to adjourn made by Arthur, seconded by Mr. Rizzo. Roll call, Chairman Lazaris,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
and Commissioner Comack.
Yes.
What
And
happened to just raising hands?
Well, and Commissioner Green.
Yes.
All right, so we are adjourned 6-0 at 9:05.
Good night.
Good
Thanks,
night,
bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Good night.
Night.
See
Thank
you
you,
next
PhD.
month.
Thank you.